Okay, I want to now just review why, this is really important, why it is that the infinite series is a problem for the first cause argument, but not for this version of the argument. As we saw, in order to conclude that there is a first efficient cause, Aquinas had to include as a premise the explicit statement that there cannot be an infinite series of efficient causes. And this is the only way he was able to get to the conclusion there must be a first. But, what's wrong with an infinite series? Why can't there be one, Mr. Thomas Aquinas? And as we saw, there's some debate about this, but it's unclear whether he has a good answer for us. It doesn't seem like he's given us a particularly good reason to think that there can't be an infinite series. And until he does, we can't be sure whether he's given us a good argument for the existence of God, because we haven't been convinced that there can't be an infinite series. And that's the problem for the first cause argument. The argument from contingency doesn't face this problem. And it's not because the argument from contingency gives us a reason that Aquinas doesn't to think that there can't be an infinite series. The argument from contingency does not tell us there can't be an infinite series. Instead, the argument from contingency says it doesn't matter whether there could be an infinite series. The defender of the CAC, the argument from contingency, their argument is designed to sidestep the issue of an infinite series entirely. Even if there were such a series, so says the defender of this argument, still there must be something outside of the series that is necessary and that they're going to end up identifying with God. So the defender of the contingency argument can happily admit that there could be an infinite series. They're not including as a premise there can't be one. But they're just going on to say that even if there is such a series, that can't be all that exists. So here is, one way to think about it is, here is our collection C that we had earlier, right? Well, what is collection C? Well, it's a series of beings, each of which is contingent. Now, given the PSR, each of the things in that series has a cause, or an efficient cause, in terms of something else in the series. And for all we've been told by the defense of the second premise, the argument from contingency, perhaps the series of efficient causes here, or collection C, is infinitely long in either one or both directions. The argument simply hasn't told us. It just says, let C be every contingent thing there is. Are there infinitely many? Are there finitely many? I don't know. Doesn't matter. Suppose that, for the sake of argument, there were infinitely many contingent things, and that each thing in the series was caused by something before it, and so on ad infinitum. When we go back to our defense of the second premise, what we see is that the 2.2 and 2.3 together will work to show that even if the series were infinite, there still must be something outside of it. Because all infinitely many of them taken together would themselves be a contingent being, collection C. The PSR says a contingent being has got to have a cause outside of itself. So therefore, there's something outside of all infinitely many of them, or finitely many, whichever way it happens to be. And that is the necessary being, according to the argument from contingency. So we know that if this argument works, there's a necessary being that causes all contingent things to exist. It's this thing that would have existed no matter what, that is the ultimate source of all contingent beings that exist. And of course, the defender of this argument will say, that's God. You can say, oh, I don't know, maybe it's the number one, but come on. This is the sort of move they'll make. Come on. What else could it be other than God? We can play cute and say maybe it's the number one, but do you really believe that, or is it more likely that whatever this creator is in fact the being that theists have believed in all along?